Vijay Drakoi. I will speak now.
This is taking too long.
Agreed. They ought to be awake by now. Throw a bucket of water on them.
Rise and shine, sleepyhead. Hey, keep your voice down, you. Do you want to bring the whole neighborhood in here howling for blood?
That's better. Hey, easy. We ain't gonna hurt you. We got you tied to that chair for your own safety.
Yeah. It's so you don't just freak out and try to start running the moment you wake up. It's dangerous out there, and we want to talk to you first.
I wish I could give you a straight answer on that. We ain't got time to give you a full explanation on where you are.
Long story short, you're tied to a chair in a poorly lit waterfront shack on one end of an abandoned city, inside of what's probably the worst nightmare you're ever gonna have.
That's right. You're dreaming, pal. And it's gonna be one hell of a bad dream. You're gonna wake up with your hair turned white. That is, if you ever wake up at all. Bog willing, you will. But one thing at a time.
You must have dreamed yourself here somehow. To the city, I mean. And it ain't really important how you got here. Just count yourself lucky that we found you out there still sleeping and dragged you inside and tied you down so you couldn't panic and run when you woke up.
You gotta understand. What we're gonna tell you is gonna probably save your life. So just keep your teeth together and listen to what we gotta tell you. And for the love of Ned, try not to ask too many questions, okay? What did I just say about asking questions? Okay, you know what? Fine. I'll give you a pass on that one, pal. My name's Oska. This here's Franki.
Pleased to meet you.
Now forget about asking more questions just now. And especially don't ask about why we don't quite look the same way you do. It ain't important, and likely you won't ever see us again, so don't let it worry you.
Think of us as just part of the dream you're having. We live here and we don't look quite like the humans you're used to because, well, we don't need to. This is just how we are. Now shut your yap and listen. Like I said, you're having a nightmare. A really bad one. The kind where you wake up in some rundown city and it's dark out and there's no one around to call for help.
And there's things in the dark that are gonna get you if they find you. But the only way for you to get out of here is to go through the city, through the horrible dark, and somehow get past all the things out there waiting for you. So here's the situation. Right now we're in a shack down on the waterfront. It's just after sunset. It'll take you most of the night to cross the city, assuming you're going slow and cautious like and not just running like a scared rabbit. Now the place you want to make for is on the other side of the city. And for the love of all you hold dear, you want to be at that place well before sunrise.
Oh, that's simple. If you don't get there by sunrise, you're gonna be dead. D-E-D dead, you got that? The things that live in the dark corners of this place, they ain't nothing compared to what walks around under the unclean light of day. And if you're not gone by morning, they can see you, and they're gonna get you.
So what you gonna do after we cut you loose is, you're gonna follow the waterfront road until you find the main street leading into the city. You can't miss the main street. It's the only one that's got any working streetlights left. But you don't want to exactly follow it, see? There's a little too much light along the main street if you catch my drift. So you want to follow it, but maybe from a block or two to one side or the other. Use it as a guideline, like. You're gonna want to follow it all the way across the city. You'll know when you're getting close to your destination. Most of the buildings will look less like they've been rotten for years, and more like they're just newly abandoned. And right on the edge of the city, and you'll know when you see it, just where the main street heads back out into the gray beyond, you're gonna find a Black Dog bus terminal.
And let me tell you, pal, the thing you want most this blessed night is to get to that terminal and get on the bus. There ain't gonna be but the one, and it leaves just before sunrise. Once you make it onto the bus, you're home free. All you gotta do is fall asleep, and when you wake up, it'll be in your own bed, safe and sound. Look, pal, I don't make the rules. I know it don't make any sense. It's not supposed to. We're just trying to help you so you don't buy it in this godforsaken, hollowed-out husk of a nightmare city.
A damn shame we can't give you much help beyond advice. There's, not a lot of ready tools to hand, you know. Not in this end of town. But you always want to keep your eyes peeled for whatever you can pick up and use.
Everything is a weapon. A shard of window glass wrapped in old cloth, a sharp stick, a board with a nail through it, a length of chain. Whatever you can pick up and swing or stick something with. It may mean the difference between surviving the night and, well, not surviving.
I had to warn you, though. Not everything will be equally effective against the horrors out there. There's some things you just can't damage. Things you don't want to even try fighting. Sometimes you just gotta run. But if it comes down to it, and you gotta fight something to keep going, you gotta do it any way you can. I can tell you the fire keeps a lot of the horrors more respectful, like. Makes them keep their distance and less likely to come at you. And blades made of metal seem to pack more of a punch than stuff made of glass, sharpened wood, stuff like that. Most of the time, anyway. So if, mind you, I ain't saying this stuff's gonna be laying all over the place for the taking, but if you happen to find something like an axe or a shovel or an old butcher knife or some such, you grab it and keep hold of it. It might just save your life. But don't take any undue risks trying to get something.
And be careful trying to use fire when you're out there in the city. It might keep you safe from some things, but it's also about as subtle as a hand grenade in a barrel of oatmeal. What I mean is, it might attract more attention than you want, so be careful with it. And be careful in general. There's more things to worry about, I mean really worry about, than either of us can tell you about. Things you might have to fight or run away from, or both.
But we'll tell you about some of the ones we do know about. The ones you're most likely to have a run-in with on your way to the bus station.
There's water folk, of course. You mostly find them down here by the waterfront. They don't tend to stray too far from the shore. You know them when you see them. They're kinda short and skinny, and they got these freaky huge staring eyes. Mostly just stare at you. They like dark, sheltered places, and mostly they just stare at you from some dark alleyway or some such place. Mostly. If they happen to be hungry, though, they ain't above trying to grab somebody who comes too close. You're probably gonna smell them before you see them, and that'll help a bit. They smell kinda like the shack does, sort of fishy, only it's different somehow. Like if human sweat smelled like fish. Yeah, kinda like that.
And there's probably another water resort you're gonna want to watch out for, further into the city. You're probably only gonna see him if you go past some place that's flooded, or if you go through some place like a park, something with a pool or a fountain. See, this guy just likes to sit with his feet in the water. Sometimes he's just standing in a park fountain, or maybe he looks like he's sitting right on top of the water. He's a little on the tall side, kinda thin, and he wears kinda old-fashioned clothes. Really long hair too, almost white. He's always got a violin or a fiddle, something like that. And most of the time you'll hear him playing it off in the distance, and that's how you find him. Whatever you do, don't go near him. Don't talk to him, don't ask him anything. And above all, don't go near whatever water he's in. That's how he gets you. He'll drag you into the water and down to some watery palace he's got where you gotta listen to him playing his fiddle until the end of time.
And you gotta keep an eye out for the street weasels. The red-eyed buggers. The long boys. They look like weasels, only they're really, really long. Like pythons with fur. And pointy little faces with glowing red eyes. I seen one once. Nigh on 20 feet long if it was an inch. It had too many legs. I didn't like it at all. They're afraid of fire, though. And if you spook them, they mostly just turn around and go elsewhere. Mostly. If we had more time, I could tell you how I nearly lost an eye fighting off one of the bastards.
If you have to go looking indoors for anything, watch out for the arms. You see them reaching out of doorways and windows mostly, but they can come up out of most any place. I never heard what sort of horror they might be attached to, and I ain't never seen naught but the arms themselves. They don't have too much reach on them. They're maybe about as long as you are tall, but they got one hell of a grip on them. They got all these little sucker cups on them, see? And there's these little hooks inside each sucker. Once one gets hold of you, you're likely screwed. Unless you got something sharp you can use to cut yourself loose. The best way to tell if there's arms in some place is to watch the ground. Like I said, doorways and windows is where you'll find them the most. Look at the ground. There's usually a lot of dirt, garbage, and whatnot all over the place. If you see a doorway, say, and it's got a spot all around it that looks swept clear of the usual trash, don't go near it. Odds are there's arms nearby. It's not a guarantee, but for the most part, that's how to spot them.
Yeah. You definitely want to watch the doors and windows. But watch the walls, too. And probably the rooftops. Any of the high places. Because that's where you'll find the wall crawlies. Big old centipede-looking things, long as your arm. And they got hundreds of legs and great big chomping jaws. They make this sort of chittering, scuttling noise when they move, all those legs scratching around on stuff, you know. They probably won't bother you, except maybe the really big ones, unless you try to mess with them. But they got some kind of venom in their jaws, and that's no joke at all. I had one follow me one time, and it bit me 3 or 4 times before I got the damn thing off of me. I wasn't right for a couple of weeks after that. Had some sort of twitching palsy and all my muscles felt like water. I could barely move. My advice? Stay away from any large walls and any place with narrow crevices they could hide in. And don't you go trying to turn over any boards or anything to see what's underneath.
And there's some kind of flappy thing to worry about. I ain't never seen it. Not sure you can see it properly. Not with normal eyes, at least. It's some kind of critter, like maybe a giant moth or a bat or something. Makes this god-awful flapping sound with its wings, and it likes to fly right over your head. I don't know if it bites or stings or anything, or if it just likes to swoop down and scare the piss out of you. But it's something to keep an ear out for, and maybe a sharp stick or something. Maybe you get yourself some kind of whoop-assing stick, something with nails stuck all through it. I know it mostly tends to be more active towards the hours right before sunrise. No telling what that's all about. Just keep your head low and keep moving.
And if you go past any windows or any kind of reflective surfaces, really, make sure your reflection is really your own before you move on. Because sometimes you're going to see a reflection, and at first glance, you think it's your own. But it ain't. Like, it ain't you seen in the glass or whatever. It's something else inside the reflection, see? And it's using your reflection as its own body, like. If you see one of those things, just look at it long enough to assure yourself that it ain't you, and then move on. Most of them have a well-defined territory, like car maybe, or the windows on the front of a building, and they pretty much stick to that area. Only thing is, if you see one of them, don't go near. Don't try to play mere games with them. Don't try to trick them into moving. And for the love of Ned, don't touch the reflective surface. If you touch them, they can touch you back. And trust me, you don't want that. Just be thankful you're traveling at night. Fewer reflections that way, see? Even so, be careful about how you use fire when you're near stuff that might show a reflection.
Something else you want to steer clear of. Storm drains, manhole covers, graded sidewalks, any kind of artificial hole in the ground. Especially if it's likely to be connected to some kind of network of tunnels. Some of them got something living inside, down below. It ain't the harms I told you about. No, it's something else. There's something that lurks in tunnels and drains and sewers and such like. You can tell when it's sitting still someplace on account of the steam coming up off of it. Sometimes you can see steam coming up through a manhole cover or a storm drain. Sometimes you can even hear it breathing. Just a faint whistle of air coming up from the hole. But it ain't the wind and it ain't safe. Stay away from those sorts of things.
And if you ever get the feeling you're being watched while you're traveling, you probably are. It can be anything. There's all sorts of horrors out there, with and without eyes. Things watching and waiting in the dark. Some of them just pop up out of nowhere in the time it takes to blink. I seen this funny looking dog once. Only I don't think it was a dog, not by a long stretch. It was twice as tall as me and standing upright on its back legs, and it was just staring into the window of some old building. Scared me half out of my wits when I saw it. Prettiest glowing blue eyes I ever saw, but on some crazed madman's idea of a dog head on top of a horribly disjointed body. And then I blinked, just a blink, and this dog thing had closed half the distance between us. I blinked again. It was standing right in front of me, just staring at me. Then it sort of shuddered and started twitching its arms and legs, and there was a horrid crunching, popping noise like bones being cracked. And it sort of threw its head backwards over its shoulders, and its arms and legs twisted around. It made me want to throw up watching it all happen right there in front of me. And then it just sauntered away. It hadn't turned around like how you would turn yourself around to walk into a new direction. No, it just twisted and turned and flipped everything so that what used to be its back was now its front, and off it went, walking away like it owned the whole damn street. And I knew I couldn't do a thing to it. Bog, but I get the sick shivers just thinking about that night.
Speaking of things walking around, there's probably one more thing you want to watch out for. Well, I mean, you want to watch out for all sorts of things, but the ones we told you about, they're the ones you're most likely to run into. Probably. This last horror, you're more likely to run into one as you get closer to the edge of the city, closer to the bus terminal and the wild places out beyond everything. I don't know how things are where you come from, pal, but most folk know about the deer that come to the edge of where people live. Fewer people know about the things that look like deer but ain't. They don't know what they are, but they're damn sure they ain't deer. And then there's things that maybe look like a deer at first glance, but a closer examination gets you thinking that what you're seeing definitely ain't a deer, and maybe never was. They're the sort of thing you see in woody areas, like the edges of parks, residential backyards and the like. Sometimes they walk like a regular deer, just weird and jerky. Something feels off about them. Then they stand up and keep walking. And that's when the horror grabs hold of your guts and twists them. Because they walk like people. Something about their proportions changes, and they look more like something that's used to walking on two legs, and not like something that's used to four legs walking on two. Sometimes they just follow you, and don't do nothing. But sometimes they keep following you, and they get closer. Then they start whistling, and sometimes they start talking. That's the worst thing, the talking. Because they got this nasty habit of talking to you in your own voice. And it gets worse, I've heard, if you start talking back to them. Also, the closer they get to you, the more unhinged they're likely to act. One might start out just following you around and whistling, and before you know it, the damn thing is having a friendly chat with you in your own voice while it's trying to rip out your liver.
There's so many other things that might be out there, it'd be impossible to list them all for you. But the ones you're most likely to meet, at least you got some kind of warning. That's the best we can do for you, pal.
You keep in mind what we told you. Mind it well. I'm gonna untie the ropes holding you down to the chair. And from there, you get to start making your own decisions. My advice, you wanna haul ass out that door and start making for the main street through the city. With any luck, you can make your way along and get on that bus before the sun comes up with plenty of time to spare. Once you're on that bus, you're in the clear.
If the sun comes up before you get there, though, well, there are worse things under the light of day than are imagined under the cloak of night. Worse fates than death. Worse pains than torture.
Good luck to you, pal. I wish we could do more for you, but forces beyond our control dictate otherwise. I hope you make it. I really do.
Same here. And if you don't make it, I hope whatever happens to you is quick and clean.
Okay, enough sitting around. Franki, get that door open so they can start running. I'm gonna untie the ropes.